Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of Life Possible with a Disability. This is Karen Roy, your host. And if you are enjoying the podcast, whatever platform you're listening on, or if you happen to be watching on YouTube, if you could go in and like and subscribe and leave a positive review. If you don't like it, then skip that part. And but anyway, I am really excited to have a new friend of mine. His name is Jeff Russell. He works for Spinlife, and they have joined the New Motion family fairly recently. And then Jeff and I, I always have a conversation before we record, and he and I have tons of similarities and things in common. It was a really fun conversation for the pre-record, so I'm sure it will be the same. So, Jeff, if you don't mind introducing yourself, maybe telling a little bit about your disability, one, and then kind of your career path and how you ended up at Spinlife.
Sure. So I am a T6 paraplegic. I was injured in 1986. I was 18 years old. Car wreck, back of a van. Van went off the side of overpass. Van was crushed. I broke, as I said, I had a T6 compression break. So I'm actually an incomplete para. Um, Kind of from there, like I said, I was 18, so decided to try and go to college. Went to Bowling Green State University. Found out when I got there that I was the first person ever on campus in a wheelchair. For those of you trying to put numbers together, that was before ADA had really come into effect. I believe it was passed at that point. It just hadn't been. Uh,
1990.
yeah, really just there was no compliance requirements at that time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, it didn't work out great, which ended up being kind of a blessing in disguise. Ended up going to Ohio State. And like yourself, Karen, I ended up in a very strange way in social work.
Yeah.
What I
I
meant by
know.
that way is it's like my fourth or fifth major. And I
Yeah.
had to get something in before time went on scholarship. Anyhow, I did after school, after grad school, etc. Ended up being at a homeless shelter for about 5 years, and once bureaucracy and stuff kind of took away some of my ambition. I ran into Lisa Stein, who was the original owner of Spinlife, and the company was about 6 months old when I met up with her, and just thought it was a fantastic idea to give total transparency. At that time, we were really focused on spinal cord injury, or Spinlife was focused on spinal cord injury, and I thought it was a fantastic idea to give users of chairs that opportunity to see everything, select everything they wanted off the menu. I mean, I didn't even really realize when I joined Spinlife just the length of everything that was in an order form and all the options that you have, let alone just how many chairs and how many manufacturers were out there. And this was kind of the first of we're gonna throw it all out there, let everybody choose pricing, etc. And I've kind of been there ever since.
Yeah, that's so cool. So just to kind of recap, when we first started telling me his story, first of all, I didn't know he was a wheelchair user. I mean, we one of the disadvantages of COVID and the pandemic is that we are doing all Zoom or Teams or whatever, and we're only seeing from here up. And then nobody told me, so I didn't know he was. I was paralyzed in 1987 and you were 86.
Mm-hmm.
You were 18. I was 19. We're both social workers. I was like, okay, this is weird and cool. Because we've had a lot of similar experiences, yet different, because Jeff was kind of immersed himself in the world of more so of sports. And I didn't, because I'm completely not coordinated, number one. Number two, I went back to college, got those 2 degrees, but I also got married and had a bunch of kids. And I was kind of, and in South Louisiana, to be honest, there wasn't a ton of adaptive sports going on at that time. I wasn't in a, I feel like, Ohio and a lot of areas north had a lot more options for adaptive sports. So maybe, I want to hear a little bit more of that part of your kind of experience as a wheelchair user, and then we'll go back to the spin life thing. But I think it's interesting, how our journeys were similar yet different.
Yeah, I think the sports thing was great for me because it really propelled me to try anything and everything that I made have wondered whether or not it was something I should do or could do. And it was just kind of what the hell, let's try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, okay, either we'll walk away from it, so to speak, or we'll play with it a little bit more and see if we can't figure out how we can make it work. And
Mhm.
it, fortunately, I think just about everything I tried fell into the second category where it was like, okay, we fell down, we hurt ourselves, or it wasn't the prettiest thing that was everything seen on a corridor or on a ski hill or something like that. But okay, I think I got this little piece of it and I can make it work if I do this. And it was just kind of that continual process of let's tweak this a little bit. And each time you tweaked it, it got a little bit better and it was a little bit more enjoyable experience. And that became very addictive to me, where it was like, it not only applied to sports, but it applied to life in general, where everything that I tried, if, and you know this as well as I do, since we're injured at the same time, how many buildings, how many places, and really how many people, probably even more so, how many people were not open to accessibility and giving
Yeah.
equal opportunity, et cetera, or however you want to phrase it. And it
Yeah.
was just that, okay, I see something that I want to do, and I'm going to figure out how to do it.
Oh
And if
yeah.
you want to help me, if you want to assist, great. If you don't, fine, I'm going to
I'm
figure it
gonna
out.
do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it was the sports aspect of it for me was really important that way. I was not a great athlete. It was just more so that frame of mind and figuring things out. And you lose, but in loss, figure out how it is that you can come back and be better next time you try it.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I think that's probably like the key to like, um I don't know, all of our successes along the way is that we are used to no, we're used to things not working, coming up with a creative solution,
Hmm.
persisting regardless of what people say. Like it becomes, as I've said, like your superpower kind of. But okay, so I feel like you're hanging out with other wheelchair users in your kind of recreational life probably helped you on your on the spin life side of things because you probably got access to all kinds of like what does and doesn't work as a
Hmm.
manual chair user and maybe even for power chairs as well. Do you think that helped you learn when you're like trying to fit people for a chair?
Absolutely. I mean, even things as simple as rear wheel size 24, 25, 26. Like, who is best fitted for those different wheel sizes and why? To who likes a scissor lock, who likes a push to lock, who likes a pull to lock, who wants a tall backrest, who wants one really low, how that affects positioning, um, center of gravity, front frame angles, all those little things that go into making a proper wheelchair setup, and
Yeah.
what works and what doesn't work for individuals. I know this is terrible for somebody that was a wheelchair or that sells wheelchairs or fits people. But when I was in college, I had has all of us, you get one wheelchair that's provided by the insurance company, and then after that, it's out of pocket. And I wanted one for sports, and I wanted one for every day, and I couldn't afford both. So it just kind of cut to it. I used a sports wheelchair or a basketball chair for absolutely everything.
Wow.
And in terms of positioning, support, and functionality, it's not a good way to go.
Well, camber wise, like, isn't the camber on a sports chair like makes your total width much wider, right?
Yeah. So actually, the Eagle wheelchairs, and I think they're still out there in a small capacity. They're down out of Georgia. They were at that time. They were the first ones came out with a chair where you could have dual camber. So you could have 0 degrees, or you could have, I think I had 10 degrees or 12 degrees for my alternative setting. The only thing was that greatly adjusted your seat to floor height when you did that. So
Mhm.
I had some really bad posturing issues
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
developed out of it.
Yeah. That's interesting. So the and those are all things I didn't learn not being exposed to a bunch of other wheelchair users and kind of like I was immersed back into just like an able-bodied life and being like kind of the sole wheelchair user. When I got into tennis a little bit, I got around some other all guys in chairs. And so they like shamed me into, kind of a tighter fit with a more tucked in foot plate and some things that really were advantageous, even changing the way that I transferred it in my car. Like, they were, so I know that. And then once I came to work for New Motion 6 years ago, then I got really into to angles, to floor height, the size of your back, how positioning can change the ergonomics of how you push, what do harm to your shoulders or do minimal damage based on positioning and so yeah, I think that's really cool. So as Spinlife evolved, tell us sort of like the range of products that that it kind of expanded to because now, um, other than buying a new chair, paying cash for that, there's tons of other options.
Yeah, so like I said, we started out with our primary emphasis being on spinal cord injury or SCI. And by far the biggest thing that we sold were ultra lightweight wheelchairs, tie lights, quickies. At that time, Invicor was still making them. Colors wheelchairs was big at that time as well. And as we kind of hung around for a while, and again, this was back early 2000s when um, the internet market kind of crashed for a while, and we realized we're going to have to expand if we're going to sustain and remain alive. And we kind of expanded ourselves into the older market where we were um, now emphasizing scooters, your basic power wheelchairs, lift chairs. That's really kind of where we maintained ourselves over the years is those three categories of products is really where we've had our greatest amount of sales. Now, the SCI market with ultra lightweight wheelchairs, cushions, backrest, that type of things, still certainly there, and we're still more than it makes me happiest when I get to do those because I know it best and I know how that can affect and really improve somebody's life. Not that lift chairs, scooters, power chairs won't do the same. It's just that I have that much more of an intimate relationship with those,
Right.
excuse me, those products and those users. Um,
Right.
but the scooters is fascinating how it's gone from um, just these tiny little three-wheel units that you could take apart and throw in the back of a truck or a car. And now they are everything from these, like I said, the little three-wheel models to these large four-wheel beasts that somebody can take off-road, and they're almost the size of like an ATV now. They're
Right.
still doing the power chairs. I'm really happy with where lift chairs have gone. I think Spinlife's involvement directly with the manufacturers of lift chairs has really helped them to evolve from just being something that raises and lowers an individual to really focusing on positioning, assisting with um, support that's needed, whether it's contouring the backrest, giving the backrest lumbar support, giving a contour to the seat so that the hips are properly positioned. Just all those things have really kind of evolved over the past 20 years. And that's one of the things that I think being at Spinlife has made me happiest is to see when the manufacturers are aware that the end user is actually spending their money and saying what they want, that the manufacturers have listened and said, okay, if that's really what they want and that's what they're buying, then we're going to make sure that we're providing it to them. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that I've taken out of Spin Life over the past 20 years.
So when someone calls in to Spinlife, like there are more people like you, I guess, that are like very knowledgeable because one of my thoughts first was, when there is a 16-page evaluation form when you go through your insurance provider. It's done with a assistive technology professional, ATP, and a therapist. So the therapist, knows your anatomy, kind of paying attention to any changes and possible skeletal deformities or things, scoliosis and those kind of things can worsen over time. So but the person on the other end of the phone at Spinlife can also help a person through I guess, questions and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that we are, 'cause I think that would as an end user, I think that would be my big concern calling in. I've never actually ordered a chair, not through insurance because yeah, it's I think I might have been afraid. So maybe you can help alleviate some of those fears for other people.
Yeah, so actually, staffing wise, we have several people that are present or former ATPs. And then, like myself, there's a couple of us that are present equipment users, be it both of us happen to be paraplegics and use ultra lightweight wheelchairs, but we're also using, bath safety products, cushions, backrests, and through personal contact, etc. Certainly had experience with the scooters, with lift chairs, um, with power chairs, etc. Um, the other pieces is that those of us that aren't either former ATPs or current users, were there were people that worked at the manufacturers for multiple years, or they were working at a local dealer prior to coming to Spinlife. So these aren't people that are salespeople, and I think we're at Spinlife we're really aware of that. At least I know I am. I do a lot of the interviewing when people first apply to Spinlife because I know where we were 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, the industry was not crazy about wheelchairs, etc., being offered on the internet. They thought it was super dangerous. They were very afraid of it. And because of that, we were always extremely cognizant of making sure that we were doing proper evaluations, getting people the correct equipment for themselves. And we've always been really proud of our return rates, of our satisfaction rates. And the manufacturers have always been there to back us up and say, hey, Spinlife, you guys are actually doing great. You're way surpassing anything we would have ever expected out of
That's awesome. Yeah,
any
that's
of
really great.
yeah.
It's very sharing and great. Like, I think because people just don't know. I mean, I think that there, a lot of us that just don't know, not very brave. And I mean, because a lot of users get very proficient at what they need and what they know and like and want, right? And, there's probably seeing therapists anyway, maybe for the chair that so they're very savvy. So very, probably more so than a lot of therapists that aren't in a seating clinic, and doing that kind of thing every day. So, like, kind of really never underestimate a really educated consumer as well.
Yeah, I think what like, just from our personal perspective in terms of what we experience on a daily basis, uh, one of the things I've really enjoyed is when a PT or OT will call in and say, "Hey, client of mine is ordering a wheelchair, and they've shared with me what we're going through in terms of the options selected." And I just wanted to ask you, like, why you want somebody to go with a soft roll composite caster rather than just this regular, the standard. And I would explain to them, a soft roll caster is going to be a smoother ride. It's going to absorb shock absorption better. I would take the aluminum hub or the plastic hub because it's more durable, and also the aluminum is going to be more shock absorbing than the plastic hub. And those are things
Yeah.
that the PT totally understands positioning, but they
Yeah.
may not have any idea why one caster is better than the other.
Yeah, and they don't know the products.
Yeah, so you go over those tiny little details. So it's not only me that learns from them, it's them that learns from us.
That's cool.
And they can take it, and share that with their other users that they work with. So
Yeah, that's great.
the whole thing's been terrific.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the, because I know you can, in addition to the really big things, there's also small things. What are some of the like fun, I guess, accessories or some of your favorite, I guess, products that you guys sell that are kind of on the more like fun side of things?
Well, the caster wheels are things that I think are wheelchairs. The frames have really evolved over the past 20 years, and I think they're kind of, I won't say that they've reached their capacity, but now manufacturers are all starting to look at wheels. And I hope anybody out there that listens to this or sees this interview takes into consideration what they're doing with the wheels on their chairs, because that's really the next step. And as I mentioned, doing a soft roll composite or a soft roll aluminum hub caster for your front wheel will make a gigantic difference. If you go to the rear wheels, pay attention to what kind of spokes you're getting on the rear wheels, what kind of size. Like I said, 24, 25, 26, those are out there. You can certainly want to base that on your arm length, how tall you are, but then look at the type of spokes that's being used. Are they carbon fiber spokes? Are they aluminum spokes? Are they steel spokes? Get the ones that are going to be the lightest weight and have the most shock absorption. That's really going to smooth out the ride, give you, and not only does it smooth out the ride, the tension in them gives you the propulsion, so you're getting the most out of every push.
Yeah.
Save the shoulders,
Yep.
make life easier on yourself, make it easier to get the chair in and out of your car. The wheels are lighter, and then pay attention to the hand rims that are out there. There's some fantastic hand rims that have come out in the past 45 years.
The natural, I don't know, is natural fit. Like I thought that for me has made, I will say that after 30, 40 years, let's say this was like 4 or 5 years ago when I got the natural fit, but it's made a huge difference in my thumb pain.
Mhm.
So and the just the because you don't have to, you're not gripping in this really weird way. It's a more, and it definitely has reduced the strain on my thumbs.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of two or three ways that the natural fits have been great. I use them personally. Um, the small, little, tiny hand rims. I had problems with why am I blanking on it? Carpal tunnel, and then I also had
Carpal tunnel.
problems with the ulnar nerve and the elbow, and then it was also, it just radiates up. It starts with the wrist, and then it goes to the elbow, and then eventually it's in the shoulders. And the natural fit hand rims, just by providing a larger grip area, getting more out of every little push, really helped that go away and really helped me regain strength, some of which I was really losing in all three aspects: the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder.
Yeah, I think that, and you talked earlier about smoothing out the ride. It's not, those vibrations or increased vibrations are very wearing on the body too. They increase back pain, and smoothing that out. And then obviously, if it's lighter weight, if it's easier to get in and out of the car, like all of those things. And I think you and I both know, as wheelchair users of over 30 years, like every little bit counts, and basically maintaining our health and independence as a manual wheelchair user. Because unbeknown I mean un I guess there are other people that are able-bodied, and then I think like payers think that manual wheelchairs users want a power chair. Most of us don't. Like it would change our whole entire lifestyle, meaning vehicles, get our homes, accessibility in general, in the community, because manual chairs are smaller and lighter weight. And anyway, like my heart's desire is to die being a manual wheelchair. Not, I don't want to die anytime soon, but to use a manual wheelchair for the length of my entire life. And I think these changes that you're talking about and products that are available are important for the longevity of a manual chair user.
Absolutely. I mean, I shared with you that I went through. I'm still recovering from it right now from shoulder surgery. all the things that we just talked about, unfortunately, weren't there for the first 15 years I should say, actually, the first 20 years that I was in a wheelchair. And, they've only come around in the past 10 to 15. So I did 20 years of massive damage to the shoulders, and it was just irreversible. And eventually I had to have shoulder replacement done. But, if you're a new user, if you've been a user for 10 years, somewhere in that somewhere in that range, by all means, I would encourage you to really pay attention to the wheels that you're selecting, pay attention to the hand rims, get the best pieces of equipment you can, get proper support with the right backrest, get the right setup in a wheelchair. It's going to make a huge amount of difference in how long you can stay active and stay in a manual wheelchair rather than going to a power. I don't want to just beat up on power wheelchairs, but I think more so what I'm trying to express is get everything out of your body that you possibly can.
Yeah.
Um, whatever freedom, whatever independence that you can have, make sure that you protect that and get the
Yeah.
greatest amount of longevity you can out of your body.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you need a power chair, you need a power chair if that makes you more functional in your own life. Whether that's like that can even be a energy consumption type thing, but most of us would really that are manual chair users would prefer to do that. Plus, I mean, we're talking about quality of life and less pain and all that as well. Okay, so we are getting toward the end. I knew this would go by like in a minute because we probably will need to do another episode to kind of dig further into some just like basic living in a wheelchair type topics. But if somebody wants to find or purchase products from Spinlife, how do they find you?
Best thing to do is go to your tablet, your PC, your laptop, and just go spinlife.com and you will find us. We do, as mentioned, everything from ultra lightweight wheelchairs to cushions to power wheelchairs, scooters, lift chairs, pretty much anything you need in home durable medical equipment we sell on the website.
Thank you so much, Jeff,
Yes.
for doing this. And I feel like I've made a new friend and, yeah, I hate that it took so long to get to know you. But anyway, like if you need anything, reach out to spinlife.com. I'm sure there's, a phone number on the website if you want to chat with someone or a chat feature maybe
Yeah,
to,
you can do chat. Our phone number is 1-800 850-0335. But if you go to the website, it's plastered across the top of the page, so it's really easy
yeah.
to see.
All right, Jeff. Well, have a beautiful rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It was great meeting you and great being part of it.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Take care.